welcome. This is In the Evening with Ike Kruchler. This story comes to us from Chagrin Falls, Ohio, USA. It is about a man and his dog. The man in question was 45 years of age, happily married, or at least married, and well off. He was, by all accounts, a particular man, fond of control, fond of rigid, clean dependability. Everything had to be just perfect, you know the type. The man's dog, Rufus, was a reflection of this quality, a black and white border collie with biting blue eyes. Now, the dog itself would never bite. It would never bark unless it was necessary, never run around unless it was allowed, and never, ever, under any circumstances, stoop so low as to beg for the man's food, or in any way act undignified. It was a good dog. So you can imagine the man's confusion when one morning the dog wasn't there. He checked every room of the house, then every square inch of the yard, then every square inch of everyone else's yards too, every house on the block. This dog was nowhere. And everybody knew about it too. I'm talking lost dog posters literally everywhere they could be, up and down every street within city limits, printouts taped up in cafes and social clubs and what have you. The man even bought up time on the radio. Lost dog, border collie, blue eyes, answers to Rufus. He took it to the cops, who told him what he already knew. It was lost. But where their opinions differed was in the how of it. See, the cops figured it had probably seen a squirrel or something out of the window, ran to catch it, got distracted, got confused, got itself into unfamiliar territory and couldn't get itself back home. The man didn't buy it. He knew Rufus, and he knew Rufus knew his own name, knew his home, and wouldn't have left on his own volition for any foreseeable reason. To this man, the whole thing stunk of foul play, as any tough break smells to a proud man, might I add. So, he started saying the dog had been stolen, and he tried to spin it that since this dog had cost him so much over the years, and of course, in its initial purchase, that its theft was a grand larceny case. That's what he said, anyway. Nobody paid him any mind. The dog was gone, probably dead, and he was possibly the only man in the world who gave a rat's ass. He didn't take this well. It has been said he slumped into a deep, dark depression that affected almost every aspect of his waking life. He was less efficient at work, harder to deal with. His colleagues and comrades said he wasn't himself. He was a tyrant in his own home. His marriage suffered. Everything was off balance. Nothing was quite right. All because of a dog. He would stay up at night looking out the window, hoping against his better judgment that his dog would come home, knowing in his heart of hearts that it wouldn't, and suspecting, deep down, that someone knew something about it. He was ready to do unspeakable things to whoever did this, committed this sin, this crime against him. He fantasized endlessly about reviving arcane and archaic methods of torture to exact on whoever had the impertinence to steal what was rightfully his. The lengths to which a man will go for man's best friend. This went on for 4 months, and at the end of these 4 months, out of the blue, for no discernible reason, Rufus came home. What do you think of that? And you know, there wasn't anything wrong with him either. The dog weighed the same, looked the same, and seemed to act the same. Its coat was just as healthy as it had been before it, for lack of a better description, went away. Back when he'd shampoo it and wash it and brush it, and here it was just the same. But not perfect. Because the thing is, as soon as the man went to feed it, the dog didn't take too well to the food. In fact, the dog threw up right onto the carpet. And the dog didn't just throw up the kibble either. A thumb came out too. A human thumb, with a good long fingernail. He took Rufus to the vet. The vet found more fingers, A whole stomachful. I mean, this dog was full of fingers. Dead, partially digested human flesh. And they weren't just bitten off either. By looking at the bones, it became abundantly clear that they had been removed with human tools, sawed clean off with precision. The man didn't know what to make of it. He went back to the police, and they didn't know what to make of it either. They hadn't found any bodies, least of all, any bereft of their digits, and the fingers had all been in the dog too long to take full fingerprints of anyway. Nobody knew what to do. So, the man took the dog home and tried to take his mind off of how all those goddamn fingers got in it. The idea was too morbid to devote any thought to, and though he'd always suspected that someone had taken his dog, he didn't find any solace in the confirmation of his suspicions. It was just too much for one man to accept that someone had not only stolen his beloved dog, but that that same someone had loved it, cared for it just as much as he had, all the while having access to a stockpile of human flesh with which to feed it. What kind of sick freak was he dealing with here? And what did this unholy dog-sitter want with Rufus? His Rufus. The dog wouldn't eat. Not a scrap. Not for days. But it got real hungry nonetheless. He tried feeding Rufus every kind of food money could buy. Expensive stuff. Dirt cheap stuff. Every brand of dog food God ever created. Nothing worked. The dog didn't eat dog food anymore. He tried to take his mind off of what it was hungry for. The dog got thinner. Started whining and whining, but wouldn't eat a scrap of food. Until one day, when the man was sat down for dinner. Steak. Rare. The dog took interest, perked up his ears, and did something he'd never done before. He begged. And, of course, our hero obliged. Delighted, he tore off a large helping of meat, stuck it out at the end of his fork for the dog. He let Rufus sniff at it. And finally, the dog wanted to eat. He was himself again. And even if it meant steadily supplying this animal with Kobe beef for the rest of its earthly life, the man was prepared to feed it. He just wanted it to eat. The dog ate, but it didn't go for the steak. Rufus bit down hard onto the man's ring finger, right at the knuckle. Rufus didn't let go for 20 minutes. That one took a lot of stitches. It was a sad, sad day for the man when he put down Rufus, but the dog died well, peacefully. Finally, the man could lay all of this strange unpleasantness to rest. But it wasn't quite over yet. A couple weeks later, the man's wife came home from a friend's house to find him dead on the floor, slit throat, next to a broken window. Only it wasn't all there. He was missing a few things. Every one of his fingers were gone, cut clean off with a knife, all precise. Authorities were baffled, unable to comprehend what would motivate someone to commit such a heinous and, frankly, unusual act. But, were he still alive, I think our hero would understand what happened to him. These were simply the lengths to which a man would go for a man's best friend. Go figure.